Welcome back, guys, to Benny and the Guest. It's me, Ben, again. We're back with I have a special place today out in Kansas, my new area. We're at the Oz Museum in Wamego, Kansas. I'm joined today by Caitlin. Caitlin, lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, she has me. We're actually in this tiny little cool theater. Today we're going to discuss actually the Oz Museum and what it entails, what's going on here, and Caitlin's going to plus us up on it so we know exactly what's happening. So, Caitlin, first off, you gave me a little tour before, and it was super nice to go through. And actually, the artifacts here, guys, are just insane. Like, I'll go over them when we get to them, but the stuff you guys have collected is crazy. That's what I wanted to start with first was how do you get this many, like, I guess I call them artifacts, like all that. How do you collect those up?
Yeah, that's actually its own interesting story all by itself. We first got started at the Columbian Theater in 1995. We had a temporary exhibit with a local collector whose exhibit was previously shown at Hallmark.
Okay.
So we knew of that. We had a local resident that was family with him, and so he showcased his collection at the Columbian for its grand reopening. And it did so well that we opened up a permanent location 8 years later here. So for a long time, we just showcased his private collection, and then in 2008, he took it and left.
Oh, dang.
So it was kind of scary for our organization at the time. Our community had become dependent on the traffic we bring in. And so luckily, we had gotten enough of a reputation that we attracted another private collector out in Chicago, John Paul Caffiero. And so he agreed to showcase his collection here. And the transition was really quick. The curator then is actually now our executive director.
Oh.
He just hasn't left, thank
Yeah.
goodness. But we stayed alive because of that, but it outlined how dependent we were on private collectors to be able to be sustainable. So at that time, we started accepting donations. The Wizard of Oz is a worldwide phenomenon, and so many people collect memorabilia and artifacts and have sourced auctions and everything to be able to establish their collections. So people, when they were trying to downsize, would donate to us. And we accepted open donations for a while. And then as our space started filling up, we kind of started limiting it and vetting what we had to prevent duplicates. We want a few duplicates because it's been a while. And once we were well established on that front, we started using the donations people left for like financial donations in our museum, or using things like the penny press or the tornado machine we have, investing into original pieces at auctions.
Like the harder to find ones, but they're actually like from that or whatever.
From the actual film.
Yes.
So over the years, we've been lucky enough to have enough donations to be able to buy at least a original piece and show one a year.
Oh.
Sometimes twice a year, depending on how healthy of a price we got that piece for. So we do the unveiling every year at Oztoberfest, and that's how we've established the collection we have.
Yeah. Is it hard to find those kind of things, like those original pieces? Are you like scavenging every year for it, or is it pretty easy at this point with your status, I guess, as like that it is the Oz Museum and your word's out there? Is it easy to find people with that, or is it still pretty tricky?
People, for normal memorabilia, people tend to seek us out. So we just have that reputation. There's not too many Oz museums. There's, one in Florida, one in New York, Judy Garland Museum in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But we are extremely established and well known, and we try to stay up with the times like many of them do. But luckily, we're on I-70. So
Yeah,
to
right
go
through the
across the
traffic.
country, you have to pass us.
Yeah.
Almost. But as far as getting original pieces, most people selling those rare pieces only go through certain auctions. So we just pay attention to the auction lineups for those organizations. And that's proved very helpful.
Yeah. Do you the I did a little research, not too well, but I saw the building was established, like you said, in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be like an old mercantile store, from what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How was that? Were you here for that process of that build or anything? Or no, I guess not, right?
Yeah,
From
no,
our conversation.
I moved here in 2006.
Yeah.
And this place was established in 2003. So it was very much a baby when I first started. The museum we're in now used to be two separate buildings. At one point, it was a bank. Another point, it was a mercantile. It has kind of had several businesses since the town has been established. Had enough interest and supporters in our community that we were able to purchase both buildings and remodel it, also with a grant from the state of Kansas.
Yeah, I saw it was like 400 from the state, and then it was like somewhere around that vicinity too of community funds. And I was like, that's pretty cool that the community supported it so much.
Yeah, and a lot of that is our tie to the Columbian Theater. We are one nonprofit foundation, and the Columbian kind of focuses a lot more on local economic health through entertainment, whereas we focus a lot more on bringing people into the community and giving them a unique experience. But we both kind of have the same goals and mission to provide entertainment.
Yeah, that's great though.
Yeah.
With the like you showed me, my favorite thing I think I saw was the original house.
Yes.
When you watch the movie, it's spinning in the tornado, and it's like this little tiny thing, but it was so cool. And then also you showed me some of the Munchkins, their outfits. With stuff like that, like you said, it deteriorates over time.
Yes.
How does that get managed? Like all of those props or even documents and stuff. How do you guys maintain that so well?
So we do have a curator on hand. She kind of works in the basement where temperatures are constant. We like to joke that it's the witch's dungeon, but we got to have some humor around here. So we maintain its condition by pulling it off a display. So we have plenty of original pieces, but you're not going to see them all out at the same time because vibrations and light and everything kind of break them down. And while we have LED, it's still in the limelight being shaken up just by walking. So vibrations we can't feel, the artifacts definitely do. So we do store them in a secure location, some off-site, some on-site, kind of depending. Got to diversify where things are located. And then as they start deteriorating a little bit more, we do have partners, some in Texas, some in California, that will restore or preserve them as needed and keeps them alive a little bit longer. And so more people can see them in the long run.
Absolutely. What would you say is the hardest things to come by? Is it props from the movie, or is it like you talked about with that cup set, I believe it was?
Yeah.
It's the most expensive, so I'm sure it was a lot of those niche things are hard. I didn't know which is like the hardest for y'all to get.
I would say original pieces. As the Wizard of Oz continues to increase in age, I mean, it came out in 1939, and here we are in 2024. Pieces are getting rarer and rarer. When items are in private collection, they're not being preserved the same way, although the collectors do everything they can to preserve them as long as possible. But there is so much more competition for the very few original pieces that are left. Believe it or not, at one point MGM threw a whole bunch of original pieces in the dumpster because props weren't a thing yet.
Yeah.
But luckily for us, a lot of people went dumpster diving, and now we have them. So one man's trash, everybody else's treasure, I guess. But those are definitely the hardest to source just because increased competition, increased pricing. And usually they always need some restoration once we get them on hand.
Right. The other part I saw that I noticed it was kind of crazy, the international stuff, like those posters and all the things. Did you have to outsource out of the country for those, or are collectors and stuff actually keeping those here in the States still?
Collectors.
Dang.
Yeah, most of our stuff. So a lot of what you see on display is still courtesy of our collector that we found in 2008, John Paul Cafiero. He actually comes every year for Oztoberfest. But he collected a lot of those more international pieces, and there is some really cool history behind them that I know our curator really loves to dive into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How like the operations here. I see that it's open obviously Monday through Friday, and then I think on the weekend, was it, or Saturdays? Yeah. How does that, like, I guess, like for people working here like yourself, and I saw like your other cohort out there, is it just a few of you that man this and like are spun up on everything, or how does one get involved in that?
Yes and no. So our hours are we have summer hours and winter hours.
Okay.
Winter's our slower season. People aren't traveling near as much when we have cold temperatures. I don't know. No one likes to get out in the cold. But like in the winter, it's 10 to 5 Monday through Saturday and noon to 5 Sunday. And then we extend it an hour on each end in the summer.
Oh, okay.
We have I would call it a small dedicated team, although we do have a group of part-time members to help support the ones that are full-time and provide the flexibility so people can have time off. But we've been really lucky the last few years. Some museums have had a hard time recovering from a couple years back, which doesn't need
Oh,
named. But we were really lucky, and as a result, we have more full-time employees than we did before, which kind of allows us to support our community a little bit more, and the rest are filled in with high schoolers and volunteers.
Nice. Like yourself, were you a avid Oz fan when you came in, or how did that work out?
No, I love history. I come from a rich museum background. I have family members that have worked in museums, being a military brat from Virginia and so on. So I kind of grew up enjoying how museums came to be. I wouldn't have ever called myself an Oz fan. Though if you ask family members, apparently I'm a know-it-all about it. I've gained an appreciation over time. I'm a book reader, and so I read most of the series to my children. There's so many of them. And it's very engaging. So if you haven't read the book, I highly recommend it. You'll become an Oz fan even if you don't want to be.
I never realized there's like it's 8 or 9 books, right? It's
No.
from L. Frank Baum.
Yeah, no. He wrote 14 and he had notes for the 15th.
Oh
And so
my gosh.
that was published after he passed away. And then after he passed away, the publishers actually hired the artist to continue the series. And then when he passed, well, not passed, when he discontinued writing,
Yeah.
they hired a historian. At that point, there was already a Oz historian to finish off, and there's 40 books in the canon total.
40.
40.
Does it, and it's a continuum of the story, like or it's all in the same universe and everything.
Yeah, it continued. And from that, because the world was already so big at 40, there are so many other authors that have taken their own spin and made the story even richer. I mean, it's absolutely incredible how many different versions there are out there.
I was wondering that. I was coming in, and I had cousins when I was younger that were huge into theater and Wicked. They were always playing that soundtrack, and I was like, I wonder if like Wizard of Oz fans have like a feud with like that, because like I didn't know if it's it's by Gregory Maguire, and it's not. I know it doesn't. It's not the same, right?
No, it's not the same. Fun fact for those that aren't Oz fans, the character from Frozen is in Wicked. So I'm not going to tell you which one, but if
Okay.
you can figure it out, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there's a universe crossover there. But I wouldn't say there's much of a feud. There are some people that really love Broadway, and those that love Broadway are going to love Wicked. Wicked, the Broadway production, I would say a lot more mild than Wicked, the book.
Yes.
The book is pretty dark.
Yes.
Um, but if you like dark, it's an awesome book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the only real feud that I've seen in the story is between Return to Oz and The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, okay.
And Return to Oz is actually pretty in line with the books too.
Okay. And then, oh, there's the other one. I saw posters out here, and then they had the Wiz too. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, there's so many. It's become such a giant. I'm a history major, so like I love all this.
So here I am
Yeah.
telling you that's why I'm here. I love history.
No, yeah, I like hearing that, and but it's a cultural phenomenon that runs back, like you said, almost 100 years, and to see those like influences across different genres and stuff is still cool because it's like whether you're a purist or not, it's like it's everywhere. It's great.
Luckily for me, since I'm not a Wizard of Oz, the original purist, I can appreciate most of the forms that come out. Some are weirder than others.
I saw we didn't get our way into it, but you have the haunted forest over there, right? So is that more of the stands and stuff with the characters, or is that like how does that run exactly?
Yeah. So for most people who haven't been here, museum, we tried to give it more of an immersive experience without being over the top. So we want to give you the theme of the movie. So you, of course, start in on the farm in Kansas, then you end up in Munchkin Land, and then we journey through meeting the characters along the way till we get to the haunted forest. In the haunted forest, that's really just a scene. We don't have original pieces in there, but it's dark and creepy, and there's something scary at the end, depending on who you are. It doesn't move anymore. It used to move. But as you get past that, you end up in the witch's castle, and we do have an interactive exhibit in there. And then you kind of get into the poppy lands and poppy fields. Sorry, as but you get to the poppy fields, see Glinda. She was actually last in the book, therefore she's last in our museum. Until you get to the Emerald City, where you can see the wizard and the hot air balloon.
Oh wow, they actually.
And then we have original pieces back in that part as well.
Okay. Yeah, just for people listening, some of the stuff here, like just little facts, like she showed me an original drawing for it, and it was a hot air balloon with a raft, right? It was a raft on the
it kind of looks like a boat.
Yeah. Like stuff like that. Original sketches for the Munchkins for their outfits, and then they had a real one that they wore. And I mean, like, even if you watched it as a kid, like my family was huge on it, but then like other people, maybe just watched it in passing, but you always remember that movie. Seeing this stuff in real life, you're like, wow, how are they even like keeping that up? I saw your big thing obviously is Oztoberfest, right? Which is in the city, or how does that, can you talk about that?
Oztoberfest is it's down Main Street and in the Oz Museum and in the Columbian. So at the Columbian Theater, we showcase activities for kids because we can't have too many dangerous activities around all these original pieces.
Yeah.
So we have those kinds of games at the Columbian, and then we do presentations with special guests, historians, leaders of like the International Wizard of Oz Club, the collector that we showcase here. They do Q&As, and we're even doing Trial of Dorothy this year. So if you want to see whether or not Dorothy was guilty of killing the witch, you can. We are showcasing that twice on the day of Oztoberfest, which is October 3rd. But over here, we have a couple guided tours scheduled. We are unveiling an original piece from the movie. We're really excited about that.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you what it was.
I know.
But then we wouldn't be unveiling it.
Yeah.
But you should come and see it because it is extremely rare. I think it might be one of the rarest pieces we've ever had. As far as I understand, there's only one. So
oh man,
we're pretty honored to have that piece. And then we are also unveiling something that our guests can use and touch. so I can't tell you what that is either.
I go.
Yes.
I gotta go.
On Main Street, we'll have entertainment, food trucks, activities, some Oz vendors, and then it is important to us in Wamego to celebrate Kansas vendors. With the Wizard of Oz being starting in Kansas, going to Oz, and ending up back in Kansas, we wanted to take that spin and celebrate small Kansas businesses. So we have quite a few of those out that will be selling their own pieces. And I mean, we also have like face painting and an Emerald City playground that will have its own activities. So it's a whole day's worth of fun.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And if nobody's ever been here to Wamego, Kansas,
Mm-hmm.
I just drove through it a little bit, and it's like this cute little town. It looks like a Hallmark movie, kind of. Like,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's so much like little stuff that's awesome. And the Oz Museum, you'll see pictures on the post, but it's like this little thing. It's not little, but it's not huge or overwhelming. And it's this little thing downtown, and it's just great. Do you guys get called out like to the community or other events and stuff like that for your stuff, or is it mostly you stick to right around here?
I would say we mostly stick to around here. That said, we have sent some of our pieces to San Diego, California for a festival out there. We also do traveling exhibits to us, mostly local vendors like the Oz Winery, even at the banks, Toto's Tacos, things like that. We've had some of our pieces scattered around town. So even the people that aren't coming for the museum specifically can still see what their community is offering. And then we do presentations and whatnot across the state. So not always original pieces. Sometimes the curator will bring them depending on the level of security.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though.
We try.
Yeah. No, you're getting out there. And I think this is the type of thing that can't really be taken everywhere. It's a piece of the little Kansas right here, as well as like it's an institution of itself, not just the pieces. So it all wraps into one. I had what would you say your favorite piece in this entire place is?
So I kind of showed it to you. Oddly enough, it's Olga's harmonica. Don't know what it is. It's probably about 1.5 inches big, and it's her actual music instrument that she played. And I just think it is the cutest thing. I know it's not Wizard of Oz specific, but it is adorable. It reminds me of a little doll's playhouse toy.
Yeah.
But beyond that, beyond the not Wizard of Oz piece, that is a tougher question. I personally, if I had any favorite characters, it would probably be the flying monkeys. Unfortunately, due to the age of our tiny 4-inch rubber monkeys that are original to the film, they are not on display, although you can see wonderful photographs of them. My favorite piece is the Winky Spear.
The Winky Spear, what is that?
So you know the OEO guys from the
Yeah.
film? It's the OEO guys. They had these super long spears. They were about 11 feet tall. The guys that played those Winky guards, which were essentially the witches'
That's what they're
slaves.
called, the Winky Guards?
Yes.
That's wild.
They were actually football players over in Hollywood. They were about 7 feet tall, so it made them look really threatening.
Yeah.
And so they were hired to be the Winky Guards, which is really neat to me. But I think the reason why I like that piece so much is, one, it's huge, and I'm very small. But two, that's one of the first pieces that we acquired after I got hired here.
Oh, yeah.
So to me, it was probably my first big Oktoberfest unveiling experience, and it's just something that I can't help but be attached to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it one from the movie or?
Oh yeah, absolutely, one from the movie.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's. I didn't get to take you back there before this.
Yeah,
so,
no, I'm gonna go look at it after
yeah,
this.
we'll have
Yeah.
to finish that up.
Yeah. And then finally, I guess we covered it kind of, but the Oktoberfest is the big thing coming up. Is there any other stuff you wanted to cover?
Well, I mean, Oktoberfest is the one thing that we truly try to gear up for throughout the year. But shameless plug here, our community match day is coming up, and we are nonprofit. So all the original pieces you see are genuinely because of donations and whatnot. But our match day has benefactors that actually match those funds to the various nonprofits.
Oh,
So
good.
if anyone wanted to get engaged on our Facebook page, we'll be advertising that. So we continue to make our museum look better, be more accessible, be more in theme, and allow for us to use the funds from our everyday donations to go towards original pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out here, guys.
Yes.
I think you covered everything pretty well. What's going on here? I know I'm going to put the word out to everyone around where I'm at now because this is great. I appreciate you so much for your time to go over everything with me.
Yeah.
And I just can't express enough to even anyone, whether you're here or whether you're in New York, Kansas, Missouri, wherever, come check this out because this is a true piece of history that you guys have built here.
It's amazing. It's a lot of fun being that I'm not a resident, an original resident of Wamego. There's a certain magic to it. Being a military brat myself, I've had the luxury of traveling to a lot of places, and there's something different about the museum, and it's not biased, I promise.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
Caitlin, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. And thank you all for listening. We'll be back later. Take care.